Hi, this is Emma from Stitched Up by Emma. In this video, I'll be showing you the basics of my Jacob's patchwork blanket. For this project, you will need DK yarn, 4mm crochet hook, scissors and a darning needle. To start, we're going to create a slip knot. We will then chain 11. We are going to work our first double crochet into the third chain from the hook. Those two skipped chains count as our first double crochet, so we have 2, and I'm going to work another 3 more. So we have 5 double crochets. I'm going to chain 10. And we're going to slip stitch into the top of our last stitch we worked. We will then continue to double crochet into each stitch along for the rest of the row. So for row 1, we'll have 5 double crochets, a loop of 10 chains and then another 5. For row 2, we chain 1, turn our work, and we're going to single crochet in every stitch along. So you'll have 10 single crochets in total. When we get to working our single crochets around the chain, we'll need to make sure that our working yarn is in front of the loop and the loop is held towards the back. This will ensure that our chain loops stay on the right side of our work. And we'll continue to single crochet in every stitch to the end. Make sure that your last single crochet is worked into the top of that chain 2 from our starting chain. We're going to chain 2, turn our work, and we're on to round 3. So that chain 2 counts as our first stitch. So our first double crochet is worked into the second stitch. So we have 2, 3, 4, and 5. We will then chain 10. Slip stitch to that last stitch we worked, and then work a final 5 double crochets for the rest of the row. So round 4, we'll chain 1 and we'll single crochet in every single stitch, ensuring to push that chain loop backwards and bring your working yarn in front of that loop. These 2 rows actually form the basis of the pattern. We're going to repeat them until we have a total of 5 chain loops. So to finish off our mini Jacob, we are going to chain 2 at the beginning of the row and then double crochet in each stitch along the row. We're going to now link our loops together to form the braid up the front of our mini Jacob. Working from the bottom, thread the second loop through the first loop. Thread the third loop through the second loop, and so on, threading the next loop through the previous loop, all the way until you have no more loops. The last loop will be secured on the next row. We're going to chain one and turn our work. We are going to then single crochet into the next 4 stitches. The next 2 single crochets worked are going to be through the stitch and the loop itself. This will secure the loops. So through the stitch and the loop itself, and create your single crochet as normal. And then single crochet the rest of the row. So you can now see that your loops have been secured and will not unravel. To finish it off, we're going to chain 2, turn our work, and so that we have the bottom of our mini Jacob matching the top, we're going to double crochet in every stitch along. You can now fasten off your work. And that is your mini Jacob complete. We can weave in the ends and we will then add a border so that we can join our minis together. So I'm going to add the border now. I'm going to start off with a standing double crochet, but you can attach it and chain 3 to count as your double crochet. I'm going to attach it to the 3rd row, working around the double crochet post. And I'm going to work 3 in total around the double crochet post. I'm going to then skip the single crochet row, and around the next double crochet post I'll work another 3 double crochets, and I'm going to continue working these clusters all the way up the side of our work. We're going to now work the corner in that last double crochet row. So as before, 3 double crochets, and then to turn the corner I'm going to chain 1, and then in that gap I'm going to do another 2 double crochets, and this will create our corner. We'll then continue to double crochet in each stitch along. To work our corner, we're going to do 2 double crochets into that last stitch, chain 1, turn the corner, and around the double crochet post we're going to work the 3 double crochets. This turns the corner to allow you to work down the side of your work. Skip the single crochet row and then into the next row, working around the post, we'll continue doing our 3 double crochet clusters. Working the corner as before, 3 double crochets around that last double crochet post. We'll chain 1 to turn the corner, and then another 2 double crochets in that same stitch. We'll then double crochet in each stitch along the row. Our last corner is worked by working 2 double crochets into that last stitch, chain 1, and then 3 double crochets around the double crochet post. We'll then join to our first double crochet with a slip stitch, and we can fasten off, and this is our border added. You can then weave in your ends and continue doing this for each of your mini Jacobs, and then we can join them all together. The join that we're going to be using to attach these mini Jacobs together is a zigzag slip stitch. So I'm going to create a slip knot, and I'm going to locate that chain 1 corner space, and I'm going to slip stitch into that space. I'm going to then find the corresponding corner and chain 1 space and slip stitch into that chain space. Going back to the first mini, slip stitch into the next stitch along, then slip stitch into the next stitch on mini 2. I'm just going to continue slip stitching in the next stitch, alternating between mini 1 and mini 2. So when we get to the top of our mini Jacobs, we're going to slip stitch into the chain 1 space on mini 1, slip stitch into the chain 1 space of mini 2. We're then going to join our next 2 minis. So slip stitch into the chain 1 corner of mini 3, and slip stitch into the chain 1 corner space of mini 4, and then repeat as before, slip stitching in each stitch along, alternating between mini 3 and mini 4. We're going to continue doing this until we have attached all of our minis for the length of our blanket. Once you reach the top and you've attached all of your minis for the length, you can fasten off. And we'll now join the horizontal parts. So as before, attaching the yarn into the chain 1 corner space, we attach with a slip stitch. This can get a little bit fiddly, as you need to make sure your working yarn is underneath the blanket. Locating the chain 1 corner space on the adjacent mini, slip stitch into that space. Locating your next stitch along, slip stitch in the first mini and slip stitch in the second mini. And you just continue this all the way along. When it comes to the join over the middle, we're going to slip stitch into the chain 1 corner spaces on the first side. Going over the join, we're going to then slip stitch into the chain 1 spaces after the join, and then continue in each stitch along. The same as before, we're going to slip stitch into the chain 1 space of each mini, and then we can fasten off our work. Continue doing this for each horizontal strip, and once you have finished, you can then attach any border that you choose. Thank you for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this pattern, and I would love to see your versions of it. As well, please consider liking and subscribing. It will really help my channel. Thank you again, and see you soon.